Welcome to Aging Untold. Hearing loss is not just a part of aging. It can be harmful and trigger other issues like falling or isolation. Today we're taking a closer look at these concerns and talking about solutions. Amy, I know this topic is quite personal for you.
Well, it is. I have a hearing aid. I have hearing loss. And what happened was a few years ago, my husband started saying, you're always asking me to speak up. And you're accusing friends of ours that you know and love, they're mumbling, you're irritated at them. And emotionally, I was like, am I really losing my hearing? Like, it just was. And then I started thinking, I better do something about it. And then when I started to make some movement, like, okay, I'm gonna really do something about it, I talked to a friend of mine, he's 42 and he had hearing aids. And he came to visit, and I said, I need to get hearing aids. He sat me down, we went on the internet and started looking around. I took a hearing test. I was, validated that I had hearing loss, and I made my way to get hearing aids. I'm so grateful I did. It was like a whole world opened up to me. But emotionally, I had to kind of get settled with, this is a loss and I'm gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah, so you were actually grieving the fact that you had that loss.
That's my first experience with something going wrong.
That's a wild one. And a lot of families see they have a loved one that has hearing loss and they think they have dementia. And so they self-diagnose their family member with dementia because they're not picking up pieces and all the words in the conversation, and they're not telling. That you're not telling us you're missing it. And so then when you're not responding appropriately, we're sitting back here with these big red flags going, dementia, dementia. And it's really just, you're not hearing everything, so you're not processing it. But if you're not letting us know, we have to look for the signs, which are the volume going up.
Yep. Closed captioning.
Closed captioning. What'd you say? I didn't hear you. You're mumbling. And then being angry at us because you're not hearing. I'm very fortunate. My voice is deep and clear. So most people with hearing loss actually still hear me. Most people that are deaf still hear me actually. But I see it a lot.
1 in 3 over the age of 65 start to experience some hearing loss, and really 1 out of 2 when you get to 70, 75. And you have to look at the natural decline, it's natural wear and tear. But interesting enough also, it can be a clue to other vascular health issues because you have these small vessels in the inner ear. And so things like high blood pressure, diabetes, inflammation, it can damage those blood vessels once again, and then the brain is trying to fill in the gap for everything. So it's stealing energy. And so that's where you get the balance and the memory and the thinking deficits. And that's why the increase in the risk of dementia with that hearing loss.
Okay, that makes sense.
So people think, oh, I know, I should do something. Or they'll say, I don't want to spend the money, they're so expensive. Or I'll just dig out my husband's old ones and use those. Or, and they know that it's aggravating, that they're not hearing, and that people are saying, Mom, you're all the time saying, what, and it gets annoying. The thing is when you relate it to real health consequences, not that you're just annoying, but that you could have falls because your brain is trying to process sound that you don't think you're paying attention to, but your brain is paying attention. Your brain is trying to hear what's going on in the other room, even if you aren't. And that does take up some ability to where you can fall. This is proven science. And then secondly, that it can help lead to dementia. So I think when you frame it that way, people take it a little more seriously. Go get the free hearing test. You can go to retail stores. You can go to lots of different places and get your hearing test for free and shop your options. And the other thing that I like to say to people that do have funds is don't be cheap to invest in something decent. This is not a place to cut because you're trying to protect your cognitive health.
The cost has come down, and they also offer 0% payment plans. You just pick away at it for 3 years, over 4 years, so it's really become more affordable.
But I think, with it being so prevalent, one in three over 65, and as you get older, even more, and tied to health. You would think that this would be something that Medicare would have some coverage to. I hear so many people saying, and for a while it was like really expensive. So
Yeah.
But it's no different than dental.
Dental care.
Yeah.
So, but with the discomfort, you have to train your ears to be able to accept it. You can train them by little bits of a time. Don't just start off all the time thinking, okay, I'm going to wear these all day long.
Yeah.
It's like a new pair of shoes. You kind of got to break it in and get your ears used to it. And your brain has to get used
to it.
to processing all that information that it hasn't.